Dakota first.
North Dakota has seen a lot of rain the past 2 weeks, which has led to a complete turnaround for our farmers and ranchers. Chief Meteorologist Kenny Miller talks with one farmer outside of Belfield to get his perspective on the recent rain.
Ag Weather Watch on KX News is sponsored by NCC.
Last week, I visited with Andrew Klym at his farm outside of Belfield, North Dakota, to discuss the impact of the recent heavy rains on his farm and ranch. I first asked Andrew to discuss how things were looking prior to the recent rain and how he was planning to make do if the rains hadn't come.
Yeah, so earlier this spring, it was pretty dry around here. We were planting in dust, and if it wasn't for auto steer, you basically couldn't see where you were going. Our hope was that the crops, the wheat and corn, would grow enough to at least we could, bale the wheat for hay and maybe chop the corn for silage.
If the worst case scenario occurred, Andrew mentioned that his grain crops would be covered by insurance, but that's not the case for his cattle.
We were possibly even considering maybe selling some pears just because there was no grass for them and it was so dry. We don't like doing that.
Fortunately, last week featured a dramatic turnaround, not just in terms of rainfall, but in creating a fresh perspective on the entire outlook for the season ahead.
The outlook now it looks pretty promising as far as now. I mean, it's definitely turned things around 180 degrees. We had those 3 or 4 days of 90 some degree weather and wind, and a lot of the grass had just browned up and was starting to dry up, and you can tell how things are greening back up, and it's fun harvesting when you got good yields. That's the fun part about agriculture, is when you get those big yields and you got to go slow to combine, and you got all this so much grain you don't know what to do with it.
I'll be back with Andrew again next week with a deeper dive into his refreshed outlook for the season and what else he'll need to maximize those yields. For the KX Storm Team in Belfield, North Dakota, I am Chief Meteorologist Kenny Miller.
For additional information, statistics, and data on how much rain fell and the impacts it had on conditions across the state, you can check out Kenny's article over on our website. Now, here's another look at your